of friends sitting down talking about the world. Fake deep think, leave me alone. We kind of
Dickin'.
John.
What's up, guys? You're
Doc.
Yo. What's up? Yo.
Myself, Eugene. Hey, y'all. Sorry we're running a little late. Ian, I had a long day, so just a little bit. So it took us a little bit extra time to get everything set up and the topic set up and all that stuff. But hey, welcome back to Fake Deep Thinking. We got John in the house.
you're
Doc.
Yo.
you heard?
Ian in the back. My back. For real though, my knees. And myself, Eugene.
Word is mother B.
So, we're going to talk about some controversy again like we always do. And we're going to talk about the controversy that happened in Dallas, Texas. A drag show for children that was arguably family friendly. So let's read this article. Let's get down to the details. So, a drag show at a Dallas area gay bar over the weekend is causing a stir and discussion over whether or not kids should be around drag events. It's the latest in a storied battle. Viral videos circulated on Monday appear to show a few children with adult guardians at a club while a drag queen danced to an Ariana Grande song. The event, held at the Mr. Club in Cedar Springs, Texas, was called...
Can you, while he's talking, look up Mr. Club in the background?
Held at the
sure
Mr. Club. No, it is. They said right there it's a gay club. They said it was a gay club.
That kids
I
were
don't
at?
think you're gonna
Yeah.
get the wholesome versions. You'll probably get like
the kids were at a gay
adult
club.
teachers.
Yes, right in the very first sentence. A drag show at a Dallas area gay bar. And that gay bar was called Mr.
And so the parents had to have brought the kids, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on the same page.
Yep. Club in the Cedar Springs, Texas was called Drag Your Kids to Pride and was advertised as a family-friendly edition of its weekly drag queen brunch event, NBC News explains. Let's read a couple more paragraphs and let's dive into it. The event was met with protesters outside the venue, and many took issue with a neon sign seen behind the dancers reading, "It's not gonna lick itself." Yes. Protesters held signs reading, "Stop grooming the kids."
Right. Isn't this Pride Month?
Yes.
Okay, Gene being dangerous, y'all. Okay, let's go.
I'm not being dangerous. I didn't tell them to do this.
Gene being dangerous.
We're gonna wait till after Pride to talk about this.
I got my boy back. He want all the smoke. Let's get it.
Where was I? The event was met with protesters outside the venue, and many took issue with a neon sign behind the dancers reading, "It's not gonna lick itself." Maybe I'll try to find like a still and put that in the edit after this so they can see. Like, y'all need to see. Like, there was actually a green neon sign that said that in the back of the whole. Like, y'all just gotta
That
see
should be
it.
the thumbnail for
Oh,
this
they left that
topic.
on with the kids. They should have turned that shit off. Man.
Yep, it was bright and it was
They
big.
should have turned it off.
They should have turned it
Yeah.
off. It's not gonna lick itself. Protesters held signs reading, "Stop." I have to go back to that. I'm sorry. Every time it's just funny that was back there. "Stop grooming the kids." LGBTQ plus news outlet Them reports Mr. did not immediately respond for comment. On Monday, Texas Rep. Brian Slatton, Republican of Minola, said he will reduce legislation that will ban minors from drag shows. In a letter, Slatton called parents who take their kids to events with drag queens, quote, "perverted adults," who are, quote, "obsessed with sexualizing young children." I feel like I should probably read maybe one or two more, and then let's get into it. Several non-Texan Republican leaders spoke out about the event, including Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, if I'm saying that right, the latter of whom urged taking children to church. Meanwhile, LGBTQ and equality advocates have condemned Slatton's comments as targeted harassment. Yeah, the last one, then we'll get... In a statement to the Advocate, Equality Texas CEO Richard Martinez said in part, quote, "In a state that has a history of being openly hostile towards LGBTQ plus people, drag shows have been creating safe places for our community for nearly a century. As early as the 1930s, there was a thriving drag scene in San Antonio." They're not trying to get rid of drag shows. They're just saying you can't take kids to drag shows. Like, I don't see the threat here. Or, like how is he threatening the trans community or drag shows? He's just saying no kids should come to this. Like, it's an extreme measure or extreme reaction to this. I acknowledge that, but also the reaction to this is also extreme.
No, it is.
So I guess
you're pulling up to
reaction.
see cars race.
Do what? Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Drag race, gotcha. All right, so I guess the first question to get this conversation started is, how do y'all feel about children being observers of drag events, specifically the dancing, not the cars?
Doc.
Well, I was reading the next part because the next part they say like, oh, you're so eager to introduce legislature that will stop drag shows, but nothing about gun laws, considering the mass shooting, and so that's an interesting argument there.
I personally think that's a leap. That's a false equivalency. I honestly don't see how that relates.
Well, it's just implying that the lawmakers are
quicker to make laws against trans.
They're quicker to prioritize a different attack. You know what I mean? Than guns.
I guess I get it, but the reason why I don't is just because they can't. It's a lot harder for any kind of legislation against guns because guns is our Second Amendment right. It would be unconstitutional if they did any kind of ban, restrictions, laws. Like, it would be very difficult for that to happen. Whereas there's no constitutional rights for, I guess, gay people. You could make the argument, obviously, by your constitutional, but there's nothing specifically. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't really make a proper argument for it. But as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing specifically in the Constitution that gives gay people, or not gay, I'm sorry, drag shows the right to perform to kids when it's a sexual event. I would argue, in my opinion, drag shows, it's a sexual event. Like, even if you make it family friendly, at the end of the day, your content is very sexual.
I think it depends on like the content though, man, because some of
have
the
you
drag
seen the
shows
videos?
I know what drag shows are, but I'm saying, like, if they're trying to tone them down, like, there's a chance they're just fashion shows. Like,
Well,
you take kids to pageantry all the time.
I have a problem with pageants because that's another thing people are pointing out. Like, if you have a problem with this, you should have a problem with child pageants.
Yeah, because that's the other thing about it.
Yeah, fair.
It's, I mean, for like little girls and stuff like that that get put into pageants, or even little boys, I mean, it's essentially a drag show. You're watching them really kicked up and walking down on an aisle and coming back.
Don't they?
I don't know if they're necessarily doing
Yep.
like.
I saw some pics, which is crazy.
I think they even have like a talent portion in pageants where like the little kids have to perform and dance and sing.
Yeah, John just said
sometimes...
like they gotta get in swimsuits sometimes. Like, yes, like
yeah,
they get in swimsuits sometimes they dance. Bro, it's creepy, bro. It's fucking weird. But my whole issue with this is, why can't, instead of condemning what happened with drag shows and children shouldn't be there, immediately everyone's trying to say, well, what about this? What about that? It's all so bad. Why can't you condemn this before you try to do another equivalency? Like, yeah. I don't know. Like, I agree. The pageant thing is definitely an issue, but the topic of conversation is this drag event.
Well, people are just comparing, sizable issues so they can make like a skeptical decision. You know what I mean? Because they're just like, okay, wait, if I'm gonna be like, you know what I mean? It's a moment of introspection where it's just like, if I'm gonna act purely out of emotion on this one moment because I'm upset because it was at a bar that was gay, or let me compare it to other things in my life that are similar and see if I should be upset about it or not. That's why they're bringing up the debate. And so, like, if you really think about it in pageants, then yeah, I mean, if it's toned down to the level of a pageant, then I'm kind of not as upset about it. But the fact that they're doing it in a gay bar and leaving neon lights like that up, or even alcohol out and stuff like that, like, that's a little different. I mean, even if like it is a family-friendly show, like, are there people also drinking there with them and stuff like that?
Well, that's
like,
why I asked you
like
if have you seen some of the videos that have come out.
No, that's why I said. Like,
yeah, dude,
that's why I said I have to watch.
They were literally. They let the kids put dollar bills in their pants area. Obviously, I don't know if it's around the crotch or butt area, but there are pictures and videos that at least going in their bands and kids putting money in there. You got one drag person do the full-on stripper split. Like, there were some. It wasn't a toned down drag show. If it was toned down, it was to the point where they weren't literally stripping, but they were still doing their provocative moves as you do in a drag show. The only thing I don't know much about drag shows, to be honest with you, so I'm probably sounding super ignorant here, and I acknowledge that, but they weren't doing overt. I mean, it was overtly sexual. I guess it's just because I'm not gonna sit here being like, I understand Doc's point. If they try to be family friendly by like limiting their actions or something like that, then it's a fair point. But from what I saw in the video, and that's why maybe we might need to pull one up, is it didn't seem toned down at all. Like, if anything, like it was a normal drag show, but I don't really know what goes on in drag show specifically.
Yeah,
it's just what I saw in the clips. Was like, that's an issue. I have an issue with that.
That's where my issue stands. Like, if it's
go ahead and pull up a clip if you can, Ian.
If it's basically like softcore or stripping, then I'm not cool with it.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt.
But like, I've been to drag shows, and I know like sometimes they're just people that come out and they sing like a Nancy Sinatra song, and it just happens to be a drag queen, and then she walks away, or like she maybe like passes around a jar to get tips, and then she walks away. But like stuff like that, like I'm not gonna get all up about it, like uppity about it. You know what I mean?
Uh, not on these specific issues. I'm kind of stuck over here because on one end, I get when people reference other things to provide perspective to their opinion, but it seems now, and that's something I do as well. So my statement might be hypocritical, but it seems now it's what I choose to prioritize as a problem. If that is not addressed, is almost used as an excuse not to address the current situation.
I agree with that completely.
And
that's how I
my
feel.
problem with it is when I say or reference things like that for other things, most of the time they're directly related, and most of the time there's almost a domino effect when it comes to how they're related. So I'm not saying these two, the shooting or whatever, are, what's up, Ethan, are not related at all.
What's up, Ethan?
But when I hear it being said that way, it's almost like, well, deal with this after that. There's no argument for it not being a problem. And so that's always my thing. Like, because I'm in the reverse. Because I'm always like, why now?
Yes, you see that.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's the opposite of this thing, which is deal with that first. My question has always been, why now? Because if it's why now, then we should get the whole house in order. But you can't be mad where I start cleaning.
I'm down for making legislation against pageants also. I'm okay with that. Child pageants, if they're under a certain age, there's just some things like child should not be doing, man.
No, I completely agree with that. I guess swimsuit portion for any type of child, anything, is completely wild. And the fact there's organizations. And then, like, you know how history is, too, with time. Like, women used to be married by 13, 14. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to know that we've
had a lot of like weird mental like issues.
Exactly.
Like, you're used to being judged at a really young age.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think
with that mentality.
As we advanced in society, I just thought we'd almost put up walls to prevent the things that we grew from reoccurring.
Because honestly, the same argument could be applied that they're saying about the drag show to the pageants, which is you're grooming, like they're calling them groomers. I think they said someone here, like the protests were calling them groomers. Same thing that's happening to the kids and the child, mainly the girls. I don't know about the boys one, but the girls, they're being groomed.
But here's a slippery slope then, because I completely agree with you. But here's a slippery slope. What is not grooming? Is any influence grooming?
Obviously, I mean, I think there's a point where it goes from influence to grooming.
Where? What would it be? Because, like, then the argument can be made that rap music or rock music are grooming individuals.
They do make that argument.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But is it influence or is it grooming? Because you may be influenced by something I'm doing independently. Grooming is me directly directing your growth or your...
I think also it depends on who's doing the grooming.
Okay.
Like if a parent grooms their kids, it's a little more acceptable because it's your child and you want them to be a certain way because that's my child. Like I want them to have certain ideals and morals, foundations and blah, blah, blah. Like that's my child. But when it comes to someone who has no affiliation to that child, that's when I think it's more viewed in a negative aspect of grooming, even though grooming I think overall is viewed negatively. But that's when it's obviously negative is when it's someone else, and I think that's the biggest issue.
To the point here,
because people I think are even calling the parents who brought the kids groomers.
That's what I was about to say. To the point,
that's what I was thinking.
They didn't leave the gay bar and go find the kids.
Yeah,
kids were brought to them.
Like there was a video of the parents trying to leave out the back door with the kids. I'm not sure if that's true, but they were trying to discreetly. That's the word. They were trying to help the parents discreetly get out, and obviously protesters and cameras are everywhere, and you just saw parents leaving the bar, which I'm pretty sure wasn't the front, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not with none of that shit, to be honest with you. But I was just saying, like, just reading that paragraph that Doc pointed out, is just like, yeah, when is it okay to do that? When is it okay to? You said they have to be directly related. Okay, like when is it okay to almost stop talking about an issue because of another issue. Because that's essentially what the person is saying in that sentence. Like,
I guess
y'all,
that's how hard it hits against your morals. Because I see the point. Like, there's something bigger that they should be thinking about than this. This will be gone. Like, we won't talk about it in 2 weeks.
oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Unless like there's further things that come out of it, like, or if there's legislature even gets passed, I doubt we'll talk about it later. So that's kind of like the core thing that they're trying to get at, versus like, dude, like you're just gonna overlook this in the future. So it's a hot topic right now. Maybe if it does get worse, then it'll stand the test of time. But I think once Pride Month ends, like they're not gonna be hosting these things again. So I don't think it'll go by. And I don't mind parents like treating their kids to exposure. I mean, that's how you teach kids to
This is
like
an
hang out
extreme
with...
level of exposure, but I get what you're saying.
Okay.
Are you seeing the video, Doc?
Yeah.
Come on now. Here, go ahead and put it in the tab, Ian. It's not like we can show this. If it gets to a point, then I'll edit it out, and unfortunately, hopefully, we don't get a strike on the live. So they're being held to receive money. Hasn't been anything crazy. There was a little bit of twerking earlier, and it was kind of like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's for me. That was a line.
Honestly, that sign is the most fucked up thing.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I'm
Yeah.
trying to, because you said action specifically, so I'm trying to watch that more. So like,
Yeah.
the sign though the sign is insane.
The car ride home is insane.
The car ride.
Hey, Dad, what's not gonna lick itself?
Exactly. That's what people
Yeah.
are saying. Like that's a question kids are gonna have to ask and answer now. It's not gonna lick itself. What's not gonna lick itself, Dad? Mom? Alright, go to the next video, Ian.
The that performer, I don't think it was actually too bad, because it looks like something you would see in an Ariana Grande like music video.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing that got me was the twerking. When you started twerking,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, that's a line for me.
Yeah, and the money thing is probably a little kind of whatever, but they've got to make their money.
I mean, you can argue too. The money part is also a little bit of the conditioning, because now you're
It
seeing what
is.
happens
That's why I
in
was
the
seeing
strip
it, I was
club.
just like you're conditioning them to the environment.
Nah, fuck that. I'm using the word they're grooming kids. I'm using that word. I'm on the grooming side, bro. That's another question I want to ask you guys. So
These people in here are definitely grooming their kids. People
are also naming them pedophiles. Do you think they're pedophiles? The parents are pedophiles? That's the protesters. Like, I'm trying to use the words they were using in the video, which was they called the parents and the drag kids pedophiles. Like these are people are pedophiles.
I think
Probably
there's a
just
whole
progressives, but they're not. I don't think they're necessarily.
I think there's a whole
pedophiles.
new genre of people.
Yeah, I don't think those people like went home.
Play
They're
the video,
like,
Ian.
yeah, like I'm into this. Like,
Wait, I let the video play where we're talking.
Ethan, you haven't punched your computer yet?
No, he's probably screaming for sure. Yeah, turn it. You can turn the audio off. You don't need to hear the audio really. So, I'm not trying to be too nihilistic when it comes to this. I generally think, to Doc's point, like they're just super progressive. Like they just want to be how they see inclusivity and the whole term of progressive with, like, I think the point Doc was trying to make earlier, which was exposure, or the word Doc said, which is exposure. Like you want to, I don't know if it's wrong to say, you want to normalize this for these kids. But the issue that people are obviously having is the disconnect when it comes to the exposure, I guess the blatant
the difference between exposure
sexualization
and promotion.
I don't know. I mean, yes, but I think for them is they don't understand. Like you're trying to normalize trans and like the LGBT stuff, but you're doing it through a sexual avenue. It's a drag show at a gay bar, like that. Like full stop. Like you should, like right when you said, well, let's do this at a gay bar. Stop. It's a gay bar. We probably shouldn't do this at a gay bar. There's probably a better way we can help expose and bring these concepts to these children if that's the goal.
Also,
there's a better way to do this.
Also, kids like attention. And so if you like attention, right, and a kid does something and they see they can get attention from it, most of the time a kid will lean towards the thing that they get attention from. And so if you get all this attention, I'm not saying it's bad or disregard your children.
Can't say what I want to say.
If you're giving a kid attention, or they see a kid reacting or getting attention for being gay, chances are they're going to want that attention as well. So, I mean, I say that to say, I don't think every kid that went there isn't going to end up part of the LGBT plus community, in my opinion. But
They'd be advocates. They'd be supporters.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not saying there is. I'm just
But
saying,
just-
but if they don't at least become that, they'll be that instead potentially.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the idea. Like,
Yeah, exactly. That's my
lower
point.
the potential for maybe a
don't say violence.
person to
Please.
grow up violent
Ugh.
to attack them or something like that, and just be like, oh, they're just a trans person. Like, leave them alone. Or if you like them, you like them. If you don't, you don't. Whatever.
Can I ask you a sincere question? Never mind.
No, ask it, bro. This is why we do this.
Never mind, because I have not looked up the information to back up what I'm saying, like 100%. But it is in my opinion that violence isn't the same way I said nobody really gets bullied for being poor. I believe LGBT people get bullied. I believe they're discriminated against. I believe all of those things.
But it goes to the point. I think even Doc agreed with me one time is the prevalence of it.
The
especially
prevalence
in
of the
2022.
violence towards them. Now, for example, and it's kind of the same when it comes to, like, I guess with hate crimes and stuff like that, if you want to talk about that. But for example, if I get into a fight with a drag queen, is that considered violence towards them? If it was about, I don't know, maybe I stepped on their shoe.
So instead of two people fighting over a disagreement, it becomes you showing violence against
That's an LGBT
yeah.
person. So I'm not saying there's no violence. It's just people don't work the way that they make, like the way the TV portrays in the news. People don't work like that. Like, people don't just find poor kids to bully. Like, they just don't. But that's the way it's portrayed in all the movies, all the shows, all
Because in
the
this
stuff.
particular
So
event,
it's like,
people didn't go there to protest against transsexuals. They went there to
like-
protest against the children being exposed to drag specifically. And obviously emotions got riled up. Go ahead, say what you're saying, Doc.
Well, I mean, like, dude, to disprove you, or at least to back up like my statement, is that some people do, though. Some people do go and attack another person not because of a disagreement or of an interaction, but just solely because of who they are.
no, I agree with that.
Like, you had a guy in Buffalo shoot up a place just because the people there were black. So I mean, there is a potential that an individual could just attack a group of people just because of what they are.
I agree. There was a gay in Orlando, the gay club. I'm completely
and
right there
that's
with you.
like
I'm
the
saying I'm completely right there with
exposure.
you. But I'm saying the
Prevalence
of it to be addressed. Like, for example, the guy who went and shot the black people in Buffalo. People are talking about guns, right? And some people are talking about, I guess, race. But race hasn't been the real conversation about all this stuff. It's been guns. You know what I'm saying? The issue was the issue. So, like, he used guns because he hated black people. But we can't do nothing about his hate for black people. But we can't say that he speaks for everybody either. You get what I'm saying? I can't say that that's the prevalent person is going to walk in, like the average white person is going to walk into a store and shoot 10 black people. So what I'm saying is I'm not saying the violence isn't there. I'm saying the violence within whatever group or demographic they try to portray. That we create. We go to such lengths. It's an overcorrection sometimes when it comes to these things. And I'm not talking about just gay people. I'm talking about with all things. Juicy Smoulier. Like,
well, so for example, I think people say that if this is similar to the point you're trying to make is women fear going out at night because of being assaulted, correct?
Correct.
But the actual statistics show that that doesn't really happen that as often as they think it does. Men are at night are more statistic wise to get any kind of attacked at night, not specifically sexual, but the odds of that happening are just so low, especially in America, that it's understandable why they would feel that way, but the fear is not, it's misplaced because the odds of that happening, it's
I agree.
Would that be fair?
That's part of it.
But
I guess the simplest way to say it is all acts. Okay, so if we're going to identify the person as LGBT plus in an incident that happens, don't just stop at the identification of them. What role did their identification play if you're going to make it about their identification? Don't just say, oh, an LGBT plus person was murdered and let that be the headline. Did their sexuality play a role in them being murdered? Was it That's
for
what
example,
I'm
what we
saying.
talked
Well,
about
that's
last week with the guy that
issue.
beat to
That's
death
the
a trans
issue with
person.
like the difference in
Mhm.
perspective.
Boom.
Like, yeah, when we look at the news, we definitely see the headline: "Black man killed by white man."
Facts.
LGBT person killed by a white man, or whatever. Like, you always see the headline to do that, and that's what basically is the clickbait. But in the law, when it actually plays out, even though we'll be 2 months out and we'll be worrying about the next thing that happened, in the law, in the judicial system, they're actually doing what you're telling us, where they're breaking it down and seeing why these persons actually got into a conflict. Was there any like issues that previously happened? But we don't like.
I agree.
Honestly, the media is moving so fast. Like, it doesn't care to go back.
That's
to
my point. That the judicial system isn't gonna, like, whatever they decide isn't gonna be what society actually moves forward with. It's gonna be the last high note on the song that we leave off with. And so my point, to even defend the drags, to even defend them, to make a law that kids can't go to a drag show is also an overcorrection. Because like what? You don't get to tell people that. Like, I get it.
Like, it's up to them. I could vehemently disagree with it, but now you're impeding. Because I forgot what I read, but they could potentially have child protectors take their kids from them. I think is an extreme thing I saw when they brought that up, and I was like, I don't like that. Government doing anything when it comes to my life and decisions, anybody's, I just don't like that. And I agree, it's an extreme, like, it's an extreme reaction.
It's an extreme reaction.
It's an extreme reaction. There's a conversation that we just need to have, and everyone. I guess the point I would make is politicians never let an opportunity go to waste, and this is an example of the Republicans not letting an opportunity go to waste. With Democrats and the gun thing,
that's
boom.
what I think that guy's doing.
I agree with that.
And now Republicans doing the same thing. I don't like that on either side. I think it's annoying. They're trying to pander to their base, because right now, who's more upset with this? The Christians, people who have a religion, and because this goes against their morals. And who?
But the kids look like they're having fun too. So, like, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't do it. I don't agree with that. But it's not for me to make a law about, also to stop other people who do agree with that. I don't believe everybody deserves children.
I got a fucked up question, hot take question, then let's move on. Would you want your kid growing up with those kids?
I wouldn't care.
Yeah, I
would
wouldn't care
believe
as
in
long
my
as
home.
they don't like.
I would believe my household was solid enough.
Also, as long as like they don't get into trouble where the person's not a bad influence on them, then I'd be like, all right.
I'd feel like I need to talk to my kids. Like, all right, you got some friends that experienced this. I don't want them to say something and have you have thoughts. So let's have a quick question, blah blah blah. Let's have a quick talk. And
I think that talk within itself is dangerous.
You think so?
Yes.
Why?
Because
I can see why. Actually,
you get what I'm saying? The complexity of it, because now you're asking them to understand. You're asking them to understand.
That's why it's a problem for me, because now it's got to be addressed, because it
has to be addressed because but see, it's almost impossible to address, because you addressing it is asking the kid to understand the original topic and then understand the influence of it or whatever that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you're teaching two things, but are we even learned enough to be teaching these things?
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very, very, very. It's a conundrum.
I think I would pick their brain and ask them where they want to draw their lines, and then be like,
do they even know where at that age? We don't even know our lines where.
That's the thing, though, like,
and then talking to a kid at that age about sex, period, is wild as a conversation. Like, I'm not talking like, oh, you shouldn't talk about. But I'm saying just like me personally imagining myself having a conversation with like a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old about sex.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, what do you? Okay, you have to define it. Like, are you talking?
So if I have
sex,
a 10-year-old niece,
gender?
If I have a 10-year-old niece, right? I'm talking not gender. No,
because that's the way I interpreted Gene's question. That like they're hanging out with somebody who is transgender. Are they actually talking about the actual action of intercourse, or are they talking about like their confusion of like their gender? Because then that to me would be what I'm like mostly gonna zone in on, because I'm not gonna think that like they're 10-year-olds hanging out and they're plotting like intercourse and all this other stuff. I'm gonna be like, whoa, are you confused though?
No, I think it can't be about gender. I think it has to be about sex, because as a kid, when you're that young, I don't think the definition of what you mean as trans or what you're attracted to is more what leads you to believe. Like, as a kid, the first thing you have is attraction. It wouldn't be, as a kid, I don't want my appendage, because you don't use your appendage. Like, you're not aware of what the appendage is for unless you're aware of the sex.
You haven't
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. Like, if it's just
You
a,
haven't
if
used
it's just
its
a
full
tool,
function.
but if it's just a tool for peeing and pooping or whatever it is, right? That's all it is.
I don't like peeing as often as
That has nothing to do with your decision to be whatever you decide to be until you know its uses and then you define it. So I think you can't even get to the other one without the other.
Yeah,
personally
I
agree with
definitely
that.
see where the lines cross. It just depends on like the angle. To me, I was thinking then to elaborate like the angle of the approach.
No, I'm with
How
you.
you would go into it with that conversation.
It's gonna be a
Just to finish
sticky,
off with the-
situation no matter what
Woo.
angle.
For sure. Just to finish off with the whole exposure thing, I think like introducing kids to a drag queen or transgender, it does in my mind reduce the potential of violence, because I always think of like that guy who did the Buffalo shooting, and I'm like, maybe he didn't have like
A black
a
friend.
really core black friend. You know what I mean? Like even if he had interactions that were bad of people within, you know, a particular race, if you have one good friend that's of that race, you just immediately think of them and be like, it's not because of that.
Or
Because
or you think he's one of the cool ones. He's one of the good ones.
it's the darker way to
No, it's not the darker way. It's the more reasonable way. If your mind is set on that already, you will use the logic first to fight your to defend your morals, and then you'll second guess your morals. You won't let one black person change your mind about being racist. It'd take multiple. It would take multiple occasions. It would take different things. You would, like, for example, and I've been in this situation before. If you set yourself apart, you might be described as an exception, but not even if the person is thinking it like racial. Like, for example, let's say I could speak to my job. Let's say I don't work in the warehouse, right? I work in the more corporate setting. There's a warehouse. The warehouse employees are mostly African American. There are only 2 black people in the corporate setting, right? Now, I interact with the manager of the warehouse. He's not my manager, but he's the manager of the warehouse. So he's the manager of the black people.
You're basically Dale from The Office.
I'm good, or whatever, right? When I talk to this person,
It's Dale, right, from The Office?
Daryl's from
okay.
the office, yeah. So it's not even him. So that would be a bad example. But
Oh.
but for example, if somebody were to come in, because God forbid anybody's watching. If somebody were to come in, right, and they would talk to me and then talk to them, and then be like, "Oh, John, describe John." They might describe me by the most favorable trait. I would have done something that set my skin tone. I would have done something that separated me from those people. So it's, oh, John, maybe the guy who's in the anime or something like that, or the guy who's into this, right? Whereas that's a positive attribute, but the negative attribute would be attributed to the whole of the skin tone or the race, whatever race it may be, white, black, Puerto Rican, whatever it is. That's just how people work. So if I'm just have bad experiences with white people, or if I'm just racist towards white people, right, and a white guy comes up to me, I'll be like, oh, the cool white guy. And then another cool white guy comes up to me, but he's good at basketball. Oh, you mean the cool white guy that plays basketball? I'll keep adding attributes to those people instead of changing my thinking before I actually change my fucking thinking. That's how it works. It don't work one cool black guy? Got you guys messed up. My bad.
But you don't think that one person is the seed that then roots out to like meeting actual groups of those people that are actually pretty cool?
I believe
And
you.
would then change your mind? That,
I mean,
like,
everything starts with one, so it would be wild for me to say no. But I also
Well, they
think
have to
that
be
one
friends,
friend is
though.
going to be the guy on the interview who said, "I didn't see it coming. He was so cool to me. He had it in him." Like, you don't think that white guy had any interaction with any cool, positive black person ever in his life?
That's what I was questioning as well. But I do think there's probably more to it, like his environment, like maybe his father. Even though like he met one black guy, his father, like when he shut the door, the guy
Boom.
left, he'd be like, "Yo, I don't like him," or you know what I think about them and stuff like that. Like, you know, reinforcing the discrimination. Like he had some kind of outside thing.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying all people are like that. I'm saying people who have their mind set on that will fight with their morality. They'll excuse their morality as long as they can.
I do think though that
parents.
like with with the at least the exposure you plant the seed. And I do agree though also with Gene that it shouldn't have been done in a bar. Like if they would have picked a hall or an auditorium hall or something like that and done this,
That was a home
it probably
game.
would have been a little bit more proper.
Yeah, something where the atmosphere wasn't so sexual, I guess. Like look at the environment. Stripper poles, what they're wearing, and the act of giving money. Like
It's the lighting.
and the lighting and the sign. Like
Fucking sign.
it's
Fucking there's
fucking
mist.
There's
sign.
nothing
Are
you
we
can
gonna say there's not-
The sign.
Are we gonna say there's no mist in there? Is it a little misty in there? But also, question. Anyway, that's besides the point. But
that's
you
why
know
I
they
don't
smoke
fully-
in the
that's why I
bars.
That's why I fully don't
There's
disagree with the whole
nothing they can say to
pedophile
be like,
argument.
it's for the
Like,
community, and you have that sign up in the background. There's nothing
Man.
you can fucking say.
like if these
But that
people
could
are
also
pedophiles,
speak to-
they're at least a pedophilic tendencies, I guess.
Jesus Christ, Gene.
I'm
God
sorry.
damn. But if you
Sorry.
could, but it also might be a testament to the fact that they maybe don't feel like they have spaces in the public forum where they could be safe to even do this.
But this
I
is what
get
you,
you,
wanna
but
do?
I'm just saying if
This
they're
is
doing
what you
if I'm just saying if they felt the need to to do it on home court,
Why this?
maybe they felt like they couldn't do it away.
Why this? All right.
This podcast
Yeah.
is
Take it away.
this podcast is sponsored by Angels Blinds, a local Atlanta, Georgia area small business. Their blinds help you get a new look for your living room, your bedroom, and your dining room. They even have custom blinds with their favorite
Lick it.
Mister.
It ain't gonna lick
Their
itself.
favorite-
You can get that on a blind.
You can
In
put
the
their favorite
neon
Mister
pink.
Mister on there. Their favorite sister on there. You feel me? With our promo code
Yo,
FDT,
that's wild.
our audience gets 10% off their first purchase. You can find them on Facebook page Angels Blinds or Instagram
I'm
at
making that
Angels_Blinds. Let's go. Gra, gra.
Dude, I'm making that the thumbnail for this episode, or at least, I don't know. That's wild, bro. All right, I can't let that go. Let's get to the next topic. All right, so
Now, every time we talk about some gay shit, boy, the conversation be long.
because there's a lot in it. There's a lot in it. All right. So Doc brought this topic up.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about this one.
Yeah, we gotta talk
I
about
didn't even know this was a thing until Doc brought it to my attention. So Doc, yeah, you take it away.
I'm curious to see Gene's input. I know what it's gonna be, but I'm curious to see.
What?
So the French institution.
If there's any kind of suppression, you already know I'm not gonna like it.
Yeah, that's why I want to see the eruption. That's why I'm.
Damn it, I'm becoming predictable.
So
No, I ain't gonna
the
lie, that's
French
the most entertaining
institution.
shit.
Sorry, Doc.
They banned English words like esports and streaming, and
Why?
But not
it's not
nigga.
like banned. Like you can't it's not you're not gonna go to jail if you say it or anything like that. It's just that evidently France. I didn't even know this existed either. They have this institution called the I don't know how to say that
Académie Française.
Française. Yeah, and essentially the academy, what it does is it takes in all foreign content and it deems whether or not it's worthy enough within the preservation of their language. And if it's not, they expel the words and they create new words for it within their language, and that is what they officially use moving forward.
There's a place that makes new words for the French people?
Yes, they make them, but not necessarily like
It says right here in the first sentence.
They
the
remix-
Frenchify.
It says right
They
here, the
Frenchify words.
Academia France. I'm saying that, probably butchering that, but the Académie Française or whatever has basically overseen the entire French language, being responsible for everything from grammar to publishing French dictionaries to acting as the quote official authority on the language unquote. So I think that's what Doc's trying to say.
Yeah. So they
First
looked
off,
at
that's lame.
esports
That's
and they looked at
crazy.
streaming, and then they were like, no, we don't like any of those words. And so they created like, I think it's called like, it essentially translates to competition of video games. It's like a very long way of saying it, but that is how they're going to officially refer to it. It's like compétition de vidéo or something like that. And then for streaming, I think it's player of videos or performer of videos. And those are going to be the like official ways they do it. So whenever this academy decrees something, the government has to follow it, and so do government officials. So now whenever like
the
Macron
ban
goes
is now
on news-
binding quote on government workers.
Exactly. So now if Macron goes on, I don't know if he got actually voted back in, but if he goes on stage and he talks about like a streamer who
Scroll down, Ian.
caused the terrorist attack or something like that, he needs to call the guy whatever this academy to create is.
Jeux vidéo de compétition.
Yeah, joueur professionnel, pro gamer. Actually, I saw a video and the guy says that translates to professional player, which he thought in English sounded fucking hilarious, and I was like, that actually does sound kind of funny.
I know a couple of professional players.
The Academy
Pimp
dates
Magic
back
Don
to
Juan.
1635. They've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
Decades.
So
Pimping King.
it's kind of wild because I had no idea they did this, and it makes sense. And it's funny because a lot of Americans have huge issues with it because they talk about, Eurocentrism all the time. But like the French straight up perform, they're like, no, we're fucking keeping our things French, and anything that comes in from the outside, we are Frenchifying to make sure we stay French. And this is totally different, especially when you compare it to like Japan that has its own language and alphabet for any Western words that come in, so that they can at least assimilate it into Japanese. But these people just completely rewrite it, and they like review it, they analyze it, and they cut it up and dissect it and put it into.
Yo, let me see this picture. So hold on real quick. Let me read this. So, new members can sometimes temporarily turn blah 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 blah. Since they have to utilize the predecessors in installation ceremony, and they even have their own uniforms with swords, which you can see below. Let me see this.
Oh, that's fire.
That's fire. Wow.
This
Pretty
nigga,
French.
that's
Yo, I
fire.
was
That's
not
as French as it
expecting
gets.
That
Then they got a
is-
sword.
Wow.
This is
Yeah,
wild.
yeah.
Them niggas ain't never use them.
Wow.
No way. It's probably just a fucking letter opener at this point.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie to you, I
That
would
guy's
do that.
keeping France
I would do
French,
that.
bro. So my question to you guys was, I know like the gaming aspect, like nobody really cares about, but my thing is like, what do y'all think about the idea of the institution itself? Like, I
It's
think
lame.
cool.
Yeah,
I
it's
think it's actually
weird.
fascinating.
It's
man.
definitely interesting. I agree with you, Doc. It's definitely interesting, but it's just I couldn't imagine that going on in America. Like that's where I
That's
guess
what I was
for me the
thinking,
disconnect
right?
is.
You see
If it's
that?
cool. I like the idea of it because it's obviously kind of interesting. Like if there was an anime with this kind of organization there, that'd be an interesting thing
Boom.
to explore.
It's very
Boom.
traditionalist to the
Boom.
point to where
You guys are saying keywords. Boom.
which I think is sick because like it creates a genuine like form, like like this is the French because of like the way they speak, the way they literally analyzed interactions with other cultures and stuff like that and Frenchified things, which I think is fascinating. But at the same time, like I also know that in the United States, like it would never survive because so many people want to branch out and do their own things and create their own
Freedom of
ways and
speech,
stuff
man.
like
you
that.
got an organization that limits what I
They
can
are
say.
lame.
Nope.
Because-
Because
work.
it would have been cool if I found out about this organization existing 500 years ago in my history book. I'd be like, that's fire. If I seen it on an anime, I'm like, that's cool. Real world, no, because y'all know me. I love speaking language, English, whatever language it is the most. It's the most fun thing you can play with if you have nothing. Words are literally meant to be played with. They're meant to be created. New things happen. New situations arise. And I don't think putting a filter on the creation of the word, putting a filter on the creation of the word limits how far it can grow. So if for example, let me think of a word.
I can see that.
Um,
Which also could get away more from the purity of it, I guess, would be an argument.
That's
Yeah.
the argument that I'm thinking.
because like if a word originates from two things happening, right? Anything you do takes away from the actual story of the word's creation. So it's not the same. Like, for example, if there's a word that just keeps evolving by getting shorter, we're taking letters and letters off of it. Like, I can't think of something right now, but it's so much in ATL slang. Like, for example, I wish I knew where Zaza came from. But for example, we used to call it Zaza. Then it ended up Za. You know what I'm saying? Eventually niggas are gonna be like, niggas are gonna be dropping letters. If you put a filter on the fucking word, the slang or whatever, when it comes out, it doesn't morph into the way it would have morphed because you've changed it. And that to me is lame. You know how much language affects everything? How we talk, how we interact just by region to region. Now you're affecting those type of things when you have an institute for a whole country that determines what the fuck you niggas can say. That shit is dumb.
I think that's the point of this because they're trying to keep it pure, and that's why they even called it earlier up in the article. They refer to certain, I think, 40 certain letters as immortals.
So when
which was also interesting.
No,
like,
but
that's
when
kinda
was
crazy.
French ever pure? When was any language ever pure? If we all originated from Latin in some way or
There's
form,
an arrogance to it.
exactly. So what? No, but what time period is pure? When was French not influenced by outsiders?
I guess when they decided, they're like, you know what, we're from now on, we're gonna keep this way pure. But I see your point that it can make it extremely stiff, and it lacks the freedom of expression, which is really cool.
I think that's the point because Ethan right here said is the expression part. There's nothing wrong with the preserving their language and by extension culture. We do in a sense as well. Words have to be approved before being added to the dictionary here in the United States, which is facts. But the difference is it's banned by politicians using it, and by banning politicians from using it, you're also banning potentially people from using it because politicians are cultural leaders of each individual state and county. So if they can't even use the word, do you think the average citizen is going to be able to use the word? They probably could. Like, I don't know the extent of the enforcement of this when it comes to
I'm about to say to counter that,
culture,
to counter both of our points. Niggas not gonna listen to no lame ass niggas like that anyway.
Politicians get fined, but like yeah, like people normally, like, you're not gonna get arrested or anything like that, or even fined or any kind of ticket.
Because some of the amount of respect you have for a politician. Then
I was actually watching a streamer talk about it today, and or Monsieur the Personnel, whatever, and they some French person's be like, "Fuck you, stop mocking my language." And the guy was saying that he lives in France, and basically nobody really follows the rules if you're like hip. And so this is just really for the old people that come on TV. So that's their way. I just think the concept itself of this institution is fucking fascinating. Because it's like John says, like, on one side, you have so much freedom and you can create, like vernaculars and just lingo and all this cool just slang. And on the other side, you have this like pure discipline of like you are just knees deep in the language. And you speak a certain way. And I actually know people that gravitate towards that. Like, I know people that literally love listening to French because of the way it's been hand catered.
Well, not even applied specifically to French, just to language overall. Like, even you said in a past podcast that you look at certain Latin people who can't speak Spanish differently. You, on the downside, for example, with me, how you look down on me because I can't speak Spanish.
French ain't nothing.
And you said how it's like booting up a Mac and seeing my
PC logo. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Logo, which,
but
that's what it comes down to, though. I think.
But what they're trying to keep though is the fanciness of it. They're still taking the long way around saying stuff. When they translated it, they added one word. They made one word, two words. Just point blank. Period. They made one word, two words. That is not how language works. Language is supposed to be more efficient. The French language is not an efficient language.
I'd agree with that.
To me, that's
it's a beautiful language, arguably.
Yeah, it's art. I love hearing French. But still, nigga, I wouldn't care what words I was hearing in French.
But they care, obviously.
No, the people who dress like that care. That's what I'm saying. He's not affecting what's going on in French rap or French pop or French R&B. They still writing whatever they write.
Yeah, you're right, John. It is a lot of veneer, man. I like I said, I know people that love the veneer, and I love people that want the proficiency of it.
Dude, this is a professional. Nigga, I play games. I play games. That's what I do. Like,
a pro gamer.
I think it just goes to the point I said. It just comes down to it's an ego thing.
Oh, 100%.
I haven't met a lot of French in my life, so it's probably a place of ignorance too. But
I have.
French people, they tend to be on the arrogant, just ego side, I think I would say.
Yep. And also one could argue that the reason they're doing this is because there are forms of French that are not under their control. And so they want to distinguish those French from the original French. But those forms of French are all African Frenches.
Oh, interesting. Gonna leave that.
I've actually heard that they are right now in like a weird cultural crisis because there's so much Eurocentrism coming out from the West, especially in the United States, that they themselves feel like their culture itself is under attack, and so they're kind of doubling down on like
Creole. The Haitians.
Well, they swap tons of words. I mean, Creole itself is also a two-sided word. Like it can mean the people, and it can also mean when two languages clash.
100%.
So for sure,
Ivory
like
Coast.
they mixed it.
Ivory Coast speaks French. Some countries in Ghana speak French. West Africa.
From the people I've met from the Ivory Coast, they I feel like they have a little bit of an identity crisis because like they're taught in like strict proper French,
Correct.
and at the same time they have their cultural back from the
Chewy.
Ivory Coast.
It's pronounced chewy.
So I guess my last
like,
sorry, Doc. Go on.
it's real weird because when I talk to them, like they're I don't know, they're like at least the ones I've met, they're Americanized to an extent, so they have slang in their talk. But as soon as they switch to French, it's like super proper. I'm like, whoa, it's wild.
I guess my only last point is the reason why I guess didn't react as you would expect me to react is because this isn't a government institution, is from my understanding. This is just a separate institution. Like, I
No,
guess you could say
it has to be. What do you mean?
It's a government institution.
It
A
is
group
is it
that just
specifically-
decided it was
They
going to be.
called it academia, and
The
then
government's
it-
not
it's
just
so
all-
it's so
Gee, bro.
and it's so influential that the government has to listen to it. That will probably be my naivety, and I took it strictly on the name because they didn't call it a government like
You think they're
program.
walking around with swords and Illuminati pendants and the government don't know about it?
No, but for real, G, like this is a government institution, man.
Oh,
The government
man.
straight
This
up
is
monitors
big government.
Okay.
when things come in and they change it.
Somebody
Then,
paying
yeah,
these
I have
folks.
I have a problem with
Why
it.
is their library
That
so
was my-
big?
That was my next question. Where do they get their funding? Because if in my thing, if they're not in the government, which I guess I naively assumed, then I assume then they're probably getting funded by the people. Then there's something going on where they're getting funding. If it's not from the government, it's people. If it's from the people, then I'm more okay with it. It's just they have such power that the government listens to them.
The
But if
government
it's the
probably
government
doesn't
funded,
wanna-
then okay, never mind. Like I just have a problem with it.
The
Like,
government
I don't
probably
like
just
that.
doesn't want to read any of their memos because they're so fucking long.
This guy. All right.
It's like,
let's-
bro, he's gonna come in with that sword. and Get you, man. You better
They
fucking do it.
open the memo. All they hear is ho ho.
I can imagine them like giving like a public speech, and then one of those dudes with a sword just standing behind you, like, fuck, can't
No,
mess
he's
up,
good.
man.
just
he's
ready
good.
to go. Just ready to go.
He's good.
Don't you mess up.
Fuck up! I dare you.
That's intense. All right, let's read Ethan's comments. Let's finish on one more topic. You don't keep people from using the word. Nope.
They just
By keeping the French language standardized, it allows a base for everyone to work from, including immigrants. When you have 75 regional languages, you have to have the standardization.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Man.
But don't announce it. Shut the fuck up. Like, keep that shit to yourself. When niggas is looking for it, just be like, oh, we got it. God damn it.
That's why English is so hard to learn.
And take these niggas' Twitter account away. They don't need no social media.
All right, what topic you guys want to end on? Boob sweat or oral sex?
Boob, sweat, and oral sex. Jesus Christ, I don't know. Let Ethan decide. Ethan,
go.
boob, sweat, or oral sex, car accident.
He's gonna choose the boob
The
bet.
Ethan.
He's gonna choose the boob bet.
I think he goes oral sex, car accident. I think he goes that way. Does this say Florida? Oh, Florida's wild. Florida's wild. Florida, man. Back at it again. This guy.
Why is crazy stuff like this always like?
Florida, man. He's going crazy out there. I don't know why they don't stop him. Oral. Oral, my boy.
This guy.
He's been going for years now.
He's going crazy.
All right, well, oral sex sends Florida man crashing into FedEx truck. What a way to go out, bro. It was a head-on collision, literally, bro.
NSFW, by the way.
A distracted Florida man receiving oral sex smashed directly into a FedEx truck in Florida Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale. I did say Florida Lauderdale. Fort Lauderdale, Thursday night, injuring his groin. Oh!
Jesus Christ.
The unidentified man and his female companion were both found partially naked after the
Bumba.
collision
God
just before
damn.
7 p.m., according to reports. Images from the post-crash chaos show the front ends of both vehicles badly damaged at a busy intersection with 4 people sitting or lying down nearby. One of the victims can be seen lying on the ground with their pants around their ankles as
Jesus
officers
Christ.
tend to them. Yeah, you can kind of see right there if he wants to circle it a little bit. They zoom in too, don't they? Scroll down. Or you can zoom in. Fuck it.
Hey. Jesus is God.
On the bright side, at least there's not a lot of blood so
Jesus.
far, right?
Gene, please.
Oh, sorry.
Is that him lying on the ground? And
Uh-huh.
Yep, that's him.
Over it. And I'm talking about life.
One of the victims has been seen on the ground with their pants. Blah, blah. Rescue officials said the driver sustained an unspecified injury to his groin due to the circumstances of the crash.
Ethan, she did
However,
not.
the SUV driver's penis was nearly bitten
Ah!
off. Oh no! Oh no!
I'm really curious about that adjective, nearly, but I don't want to see pictures.
We not just don't. You chatting right now? Don't do that, Doc. Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Presumably because the impact caused his companion to bite down, which makes sense. The FedEx driver,
Jesus.
the FedEx driver and a passenger also suffered minor injuries. It was unclear if any charges would be filed against the driver or his passenger.
Oh my God.
Honestly, he might have lost.
No, of course. I'm sorry. You're gonna have to edit out all my pain. But
No, I'm saying it.
yo, son. How did they get out? I questions. Rapid fire. How did they get out the car? Did somebody walk up to the car and see? Where was her mouth full of blood?
More than likely, yeah. If it's nearly off, yeah.
What is nearly?
Yeah.
Dog, are they still together? Dude,
Is it good? That's what I would wonder.
Is what good?
Is it okay? Did you make it? Did it make it?
Oh God, he got 2 females. She got 2 females over there with her, talking about. You was. Oh man, the joke started coming. The 2 females were like,
the joke we were saying was he was
getting
the
hell.
best head of his life, bro. Like he literally had climax point where he was just rearing that head back. But man,
No. This nigga was on the wrong side of the road. So yeah, somebody's on the wrong side of the road. It's
clearly
head
him.
on.
It's clearly him.
Head on, all right.
Yeah.
Head on. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yo.
I'm broken inside. Oh, I'm sorry. These are not supposed to be jokes.
So question for y'all.
Jeez.
Question.
For sure, he come back smaller.
I'm assuming we've all received
Lost
roadhead.
at least an inch, huh?
I'm sure we've all received roadhead.
I don't know what that is.
So, from that experience, do y'all not focus up?
I ain't gonna cap you down. If hypothetically I got roadhead, I would put my left hand on the steering wheel, right hand down for ease of access.
Understand?
Okay.
I'm following.
Okay. Now,
In agreement.
the seat needs to be a little bit more back,
Yeah.
but not too far where it's just tiptoes on the pedal. You need to be able to put.
I admit, I extra
See,
put
you
that
playing
foot
with fire.
just in case.
But I keep my right foot sturdy as well. I
Well, the
drive
right foot's right there, and the left foot's got my stable.
Sorry, I keep my left foot sturdy as well, and then my right foot is on the pedal.
Yep. I'm with you.
But you got to do a test to make sure
The movement. Yeah,
you
the
can
mobility.
get your mobility
I
with
got
your
you.
ankle
I
right.
got you.
Because
I'm with
if
you.
you don't feel
I'm
no
with you.
mobility, then
I gotta adjust real quick. I gotta adjust.
you
Hold on,
playing
babe.
with
Hold on,
fire.
babe.
Because
I
if
gotta
a
adjust.
moment happens, you're not gonna be able to wiggle. You know what I'm saying? And then
Second question. Well, let me finish
you
explaining.
got to make sure the wheel can fully rotate
Mm-hmm.
both left
That's the most
and
important part,
right.
yeah.
That's why using the left hand, you put the seat back.
Hypothetically
you
speaking.
need the room for that movement. So, question.
Mm-hmm.
Won't the seatbelt get in the way? What do you do about the seatbelt? Is the seatbelt off? Or, let me go on.
My seatbelt on. Hypothetically
dumb.
speaking.
Hypothetically speaking.
Yeah. Somebody got to live
Would
with
you
your story.
hypothetically put it behind your back and leave it around the waist? Or is it all the way on fully?
Hypothetically speaking, that would be her decision to risk my life or not.
Because from experience, I admit, sometimes the seatbelt does get in the way.
Of what?
It depends on the girl.
Like, of what? Like, it's a belt, my boy. Like, meat goes on top or
See,
below.
but look what you're doing. You had to scoot out. So that
Yeah.
means...
But that's already established when you're doing all your safety checks.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Because like I said, you kind of adjust your way to fit.
Yeah, because also you have to remember that middle console's right there. So yeah, there
Tesla
needs to be
autopilot
brakes.
is the bomb.
You have a Tesla, my boy?
It's called cruise control and adjustable steering wheel and column. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've actually done that. Put on cruise control and I just stay at that speed
That's
the entire time.
dangerous.
How you stand? I'm standing at that speed.
I need constant checks that I am in. Like I need to be able to
Well, obviously, I make sure everything in then check, but then so I'm not too many things going on at once. Cruise control.
No, I drive my knees anyway. I'm tall as fuck. So.
This guy, I drop mine. You're talking about cruise control. This guy. Sorry, I cut you off a couple times.
John turns into a fucking pilot, man. He's just like checking shit.
Nah, because I've always had to
Put
do
armor down,
crazy shit
too,
while
let's
driving.
go.
Like rolling a blunt while driving is an experiment, my boy.
What about you, Doc? What's your technique when it comes to getting roadhead? Are you
I
a
actually
safe
don't
roadheader?
I don't like it because there's no comfortable way for me to enjoy it. Like I do
Hypothetically.
enjoy it, but like I actually would just be like, hey, we could just pull over, or we can just wait till we get to somewhere. Just
Oh, you
because,
pulling
like,
the car over?
Yeah, like for me, like the I hate the seatbelt. I take the seatbelt off, and so
See, why don't you defend me when I said it, Doc?
I did say it. And
Oh,
you
okay.
kept talking.
My bad, bro.
And
You're
then,
right. You're right. You're right.
And then with the chair, I have to recline the chair, and I just to be comfortable. And there's a certain position that I like to like sit in when I drive. So me being out of that position, I already feel less safe. And then taking the seatbelt off, like I have to have like a genuine amount of comfort. And I'm basically managing both comforts to either focus on driving or that. And I sometimes gotten to the point where I'm just like I don't want to die, and so I'll just kind of be like, let's just wait or let's do it later.
See, that's crazy because I'm like, this is the way I die. I'm playing.
You speed it up to 90.
Let's go.
Hell no.
Nah, but I just realized too, I'm 6'3", so like
You got better
me
access.
adjusting, yeah, the seatbelt might be more of a nuisance for you guys. Just I understand that
For us guys, why? Us guys, John, because why?
because you guys are
Little
shorter.
bro.
I didn't say how much shorter.
I wish y'all could see Ian right now. See?
I'm 6'3".
Yeah, I know, right? Just right. This guy.
Hey, I'm getting fat though, so I'm gonna be 6'2".
Gosh.
Maybe that's it, man. Maybe when I pull my seat back too much, I can't get to the pedal comfortably. And I'm just like, nah. Fuck
But that's
that.
why I made that moment because exactly when you scoot down, it's a little hard to reach. So I got to make sure I adjust where.
I ain't gonna lie, he lame. There's no way his eyes weren't closed, like Gene said, because if I see like the moment before the accident, I'm like my first move is really gonna be a chop to the throat or something like. Like you gotta, cause you can't. You have to be. Look, every guy who's ever gotten roadhead, hypothetically, has thought about this being their biggest fear.
Yes.
And so you wouldn't want the person to panic. So it's like, I ain't gonna lie, we would have gotten the calmest accident ever. I would have seen it coming.
Man, I feel like when those fucking teeth clamp down, it'd be a different
Son,
thing.
you cannot startle this girl, son. You gotta.
What are you saying, Doc?
You gotta accept.
That's what I was saying. I was like, I feel like when those teeth went down, it'd be a completely different situation.
Dude, that's why you can't startle her. You just have to be okay with the about to be accident. That's what I'm saying. You have to prioritize. And just take the impact.
She would be so mad at you afterwards because that's low key kind of fun. Why don't you say anything? I was worried about my dick.
I was worried about my dick. But do you know where her head was positioned to receive impact in a car accident? Her neck went whoop. Like,
Hella whiplash.
yeah, his dick got whiplash.
The bag probably exploded on her too.
Oh.
Which one?
Which? All right, moving on from there. Y'all want to talk about the next one? Or y'all want to call it? I'm ending it there though. I'm cutting.
Yeah, we could
right
call
there.
it there. That was a good singer.
All right.
My
Can you
bad.
imagine the last hit of your life also being the first day of your gender change?
Oh my
wow.
goodness, Caitlin.
That was actually funny. All right. I think that's enough fake deep thinking. We had. This was a funny topic. I would expect this to be as funny, but honestly, I did every word. I was feeling it low key. I was right there with you. You're just more vocal.
Well, my penis got so small when we were talking about that last time.
For real though, that's a
Jesus
thing.
Christ,
Man,
that's
God
my
forbid.
biggest. Do you know how trust? Let's speak about how much trust you have to have in somebody to get your dick sucked.
That's a good point. I'm trying to think about how many times
You know that trust exercise when they're like, catch me.
Yeah,
That's that with the mouth.
it's a good point. Because I'm trying to think, like, have I had the option, or have I just been only willing from certain people? Nah, I know myself. It was
If
just
we
the
can really set
opportunity.
that up, I'd actually be really down for Ethan
you
to be
imagine?
on.
Next week, I
via
expect to be
audio.
on a video via audio. Hey, we'll see if we can set it up.
I'd love to hear that voice, my boy. Rest in peace, Trouble.
And let's hear you just talking some shit. Now we actually get to hear you talk that shit. All right, I think that's enough fake deep thinking. Make sure you guys follow our show if you haven't already followed. We got our Instagram and our TikTok. I also got our local set up. I also got Rumble, so go give us a follow and subscribe on those places. Also, share. Help us get that exposure. Like, comment, and subscribe. We see you next time on Fake Deep Thinking, y'all. Peace. Welcome back to FDD. Just a group of friends sitting down talking about the world. Fake Deep Thinking, leave me alone. We kind of...
Dickin'.
John.
What's up, guys? You're.
Doc.
Yo. Yo, what's up?
What's up, Eugene?